What's up, guys? Want to take a moment to answer some questions and cover some popular topics that I've been getting most recently with this craziness that's going on with the coronavirus. Everyone's stuck at home, and I think you guys are all going a little crazy and doing a lot of thinking and asking me a lot of questions. So, of course, I've been getting a lot of questions about diet and training, gains, people afraid of losing their gains, people asking if they can make gains during this time or not. A lot of wacky questions about what kind of supplements and steroids that can help you fight coronavirus. I don't know if any exist. I don't think they do. And most importantly, last but not least, probably the most popular topic, anabolic steroids. What do guys do when they're quarantined in the house and they don't have the gym? Do they stay on? Do they get off? And a lot of young guys, I guess, sitting at home watching videos and thinking about starting. So first of all, I think that anytime you're going to consider anabolic steroids or supplements, you guys got to ask yourselves, what have I done thus far? How far have I gotten? What have I done? What more can I do, right? So I know everyone's got a different story. Some guys start taking steroids the day after they start training. Some guys take a few months, some guys take a few years. Everyone has their own story, their own reasons. But I definitely do think that you guys should turn over every stone, every rock possible, ask every question and deplete every resource, read, study, and put it into practice before you ever think about taking anabolic steroids. Why? Well, I'll tell you this, there's many reasons, but first and foremost, it's good to learn, right? So a lot of times, when guys get in the gym and they take a supplement or steroid or something that's just making them bigger and stronger and grow, they don't find the need to read and research and such, In the early years when I started training, I was training my ass off. I was working as hard as I could. And I was like, looking at a picture of Arnold training, And I was like, you know what? I'm not really getting close to looking like this. We're talking about months and years. But because I wasn't making crazy gains overnight, it made me smarter. Now listen to this carefully. This isn't like some cop-out answer. I was getting smarter and smarter because I had to research and learn. I researched dieting and styles of training. I've always had a theory like, don't ask the genetic freak how to get a freaky back, the guy with the best back in the gym, the guy with the freaky chest. Like people go ask Arnold, how do you get a wide chest? Well, go ask the top elite bodybuilder that has a weak body point, right? Because obviously this guy is serious about what he does. He's not a gym rat, right? He's a professional bodybuilder. And if he's trying to be the best he can and be competitive, he's going to be reading and asking as many questions as possible about how to bring up a weak body part. So go pick a pro top athlete, pro bodybuilder that has a lagging body part and go ask him how to grow it, right? And you might think, well, he doesn't have good legs or he doesn't have a good back. Why would I ask him? Because he has a plethora of information. Whereas the guy with the freaky back genetically and the freaky arms, he didn't need to research. He didn't need to ask questions. He didn't need to find out what type of training is the best or high carb day on arm day or not, because the guy had freaky arms from day one. That's really, really an important fact that I've thought about over the years. And I always see all the time young guys going up to, or not even young guys, everyone going up to the guy with the freaky chest and asking him, how he built that chest. So keep that in mind when you guys are thinking about that. But when you start out training, I think it's very, very important to stay natural for many years. If you ask me how many years, well, it depends on the individual. It depends how far you want to take it. I would say, you can't ask me because you guys know my story and how long I was natural and what I did and how far I got. So I would say minimum 5 years. And then even then, I would ask yourself why. Why are you going to take it to the next level? Do you think you have what it takes to be a pro? Do you think you have what it takes to be one of the best in the world? And then even then, ask yourself why. A lot of guys think that they're just going to turn pro or do some shows and become like super famous and super rich, And I think if you're doing it for those reasons, you're doing it for the wrong reason. I got into bodybuilding at an early age just out of love and passion. There were no trophies being handed out because I wasn't competing. There was no likes and social media fame because there was no social media back then. So ask yourself that. Now, that being said, in the beginning, you guys that are starting out should be reading and studying all different types of training and practicing it, right? Like, is it better to do high volume? Is it better to do a 4-day split, a 2-day split? Can I hit each muscle 2-3 times in a week? Try it. Don't take other people's opinions. You know, one thing about training that I always have a hard time telling people and giving advice is I can write out a training routine for you. I can write out a training routine for that guy. And I can give you guys my opinion on what's the best type of split, but it doesn't mean shit because out of 3 of us doing the same split, we're all gonna apply different intensity. Like some guys tell me like training a muscle once every 7 or 8 days isn't enough for them. Well, I say they're not training hard enough. They're not training with much intensity. Also, depending on, of course, how much you're eating, how much you're sleeping, but depending on where you are in your bodybuilding career, right? So I'm a big believer of high intensity, blunt force trauma, not a lot of volume, not a lot of reps and sets, but heavy, intense weight. Well, I did this for like 17, 18 years. Now I lift fairly heavy, but I don't lift 4 to 6 reps because for me to lift 4 to 6 reps, the weight is so high, it's a little bit dangerous for me. And I have some bumps and bruises, right? Because I'm not in my first 10, 15 years. I'm 27 years into lifting weights. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration. You know, you see a massive guy working out with weights that aren't as heavy and you're thinking, oh, I lift heavier than him. Yeah, but you didn't see what he did to get to that size. So there's so many variables. Another main thing about getting on steroids early on, that this is just a fact, but I've seen it firsthand, is when you train on steroids or off, natural or enhanced, your muscles grow and your ligaments and tendons grow as well, but not at the same pace. So guys that grow, their strength grows really, really fast in a short period of time on anabolics, for instance, they're more likely to injure themselves and have ligament and joint issues, you know? So knock on wood, I do have some bumps and bruises, but knock on wood, I don't have any major injuries. And I think one of the main reasons is because I started at such an early age and I slowly increased my strength on a natural, not too crazy curve. I didn't just go from like benching 135 pounds to like 315 in a few months. I've seen that happen all the time. And if you think about it, like you look at a Ronnie Coleman or a Kai Green, these guys were phenomenal naturally. They stayed natural for a good amount of years until they started getting really big, really freaky, and really strong. So patience is a virtue, and if you guys don't want to be patient, then you're not true bodybuilders, because bodybuilding is a sport of patience. I've never met any bodybuilder that told me they want to look like a god for only like 2 years, you know? We want to look good all the time. I don't want to just look great and freaky a few years that I'm competing and then just go to shit and like not be able to lift and be in pain. That's one thing that is important to me, but also as I've gotten older, like I'm a little bit more conscious to that. I'm more careful with training. I'm very healthy with my diet and food. I don't eat like a lot of crap and processed shit. So I believe I can look phenomenal at 50, 60 years old, and I want to look good and be healthy at that age. So that's another big factor. So as far as gear, while the corona epidemic is going on, it's such a crazy topic, but it's a popular one. Look, if guys are like full blown running a high cycle or getting ready for a show and taking hardening agents and fat burners, and then all of a sudden you're quarantined and you're not able to train, I would get off all of it. I wouldn't be running that stuff, because the way I see it is, if when you're taking supplements or you're taking anabolic steroids, you want to get the most amount out of that, right? You don't want to half-ass anything. Like if you guys ever get on your cycle, months before, plan out your life for the next few months. Make sure you're not going to miss a meal. Make sure you're not going to miss a gym workout. Make sure you don't have any major events coming up or travel. I mean, I would think that in depth, and I would be that OCD on the topic, because you want to get the most out of it as you can. You don't want to dilly-dally. So are you going to gain muscle and get bigger doing in-home workouts on a cycle? No, unless you never worked out before and all of a sudden you start doing in-home workouts. Yeah, they can gain muscle. But for the rest of us that have been training in gyms for months and years and decades, These in-home workouts are gonna keep us active, maybe strengthen areas that we don't train in the gym, and there's a lot to benefit from them. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. You can definitely benefit from working with bands, concentrating on your core, working with stability. Like those dumbbells that I made with the gallons, the water gallons, they weren't heavy. They weren't heavy enough for me to get an all-out crazy, skin-ripping pump workout, but when I was doubling them up and I was supersetting and I kept on moving and I was doing cardio or core in between, I was burning. The muscle was burning. I was getting something done. So it's better than sitting around on my ass. But am I going to get jacked from that? No, absolutely not. So I would say to those guys that are asking, should they get on now? Absolutely not. Wait until shit gets back to normal. For the guys that are running like massive cycles or we're getting ready for shows, I would taper off everything and take this period to clean out, take this period to kind of get back to a baseline, and then start back up when you guys are able to train optimally. We don't know when that's going to be. They're talking about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. I mean, we're going on 3 weeks now of gyms being closed and quarantined. We don't know how much longer it's going to take. Some of you guys are lucky as hell, and other parts of the U.S. aren't that bad. I'm in New York. I know Cali's bad. A lot of states have been shut down and quarantined. The whole East Coast is. So take that into consideration. And another thing, your food intake. So as soon as this happened and I wasn't able to lift as much, I lowered my intake. I lowered my protein intake by 1 ounce, and for 2 reasons. One, calorically, I don't need as many calories since I'm not training as strenuously. And listen, at the end of the day, we're eating that protein. It is caloric, it is overall calories, but mainly to build muscle, support protein synthesis, and hypertrophy. How much muscle am I going to be building working with bands and gallons? So I lowered my protein intake 1 ounce per meal. You can even go lower, but to be honest, I was just fucking starving all day because I was sitting around looking at the walls. So I lowered them 1 ounce per meal, and I lowered my carb intake as well. And then I've been playing with my carb intake, right? So I started the cardio, doing the in-home workouts. So I brought my carbs down. I wasn't very high on my day-to-day. My day-to-day was under 200, believe it or not, and maintaining like 245 pounds. I brought them down to 100. Some days are 50. My rest days are 50. And then I'll either do a high carb day on if I'm doing a longer or bigger workout, or if I try to do a leg workout or something, which is really, really tough. The hardest workout to do in-home, I'd say, is legs. There's a lot of exercises that I can do and get really creative. Bulgarian split squats, 10 different variations of squats, lunges, but it's just hard to get that heavy poundage feeling workout. It's just almost impossible. So that's been really difficult. But I've also done my cheat meals. So I usually do burger and fries and some desserts or something that I want for a cheat meal. I'll go to Five Guys and do that. So I skipped 1 week's cheat meal, and then this past week I just made tacos with my girl at home. I'm a fanatic for tacos, one of my favorite foods. So it wasn't like a healthy taco. We got tortillas when we went food shopping, which we're not really doing. We go food shopping once every 10 days we're trying to do. So we stocked up. So we did tortillas. I did steak and shrimp. We used some butter. We used some cheese, and they were incredible. And then I had some Arctic Zero ice cream with fat-free Cool Whip, and we made some no-bake brownies with almond flour and peanut butter. They were incredible. So I kind of brought the calories down day to day, but I also didn't do a devastating cheat meal, just because I don't want to be overdoing it and getting out of this quarantine with, they say, what do they say, quarantine 15 or some cheesy shit. I don't want to be gaining weight. There's no chance in hell I'm going to gain 15 pounds of fat because I'm not stupid, but I don't want to be all sloppy and just feeling shitty. So if I wake up one day and I'm feeling soft, or I'm feeling watery, or my stomach is not feeling as tight, then, I'll pull back, or I'll manipulate my diet to kind of get me where I want to be. The cardio has helped tremendously. It's made a big difference. Not only physically burning calories and just the way that I look, but also it's a good way to start the day, because a lot of us wake up and we're like, what the fuck do we do now? We're just stuck, we feel like shit, and there's no routine or no schedule. Usually we get up and it's go, go, go. We get up and we go out of the house, we get to work or whatever the hell you guys do. And now it's you get up and you have nowhere to go and you're just sitting around. Well, at least I was, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel physically good or mentally. So the cardio is kind of a way to start the day. I do cardio, core, some cardio, and I just feel good. And I've been waking up very stiff because a lot of time we're sitting around or laying around. So these are a couple little tips, couple things I had in mind, couple things you guys have been asking me. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys are staying healthy, staying in the house, being smart, and can't wait to see you guys all back out, posting your training videos and your selfies and all that shit. Stay safe, guys. Till next time.